The Israelis just assassinated Ismail Haniyeh, a senior leader in Hamas. He's the head of the political bureau. We are moving into a new era now. We have entered a new stage of the war. So I know the Israelis are very proud of themselves, and they'll be writing all sorts of things like, "Oh, terrorist eliminated and liquidated." You know, they love using Nazi terms. They're very fond of them for some reason. I wonder why. But again, strategically, what have they achieved? Losers, they're failures. They're the worst army in modern history that is being pummeled on 7 fronts. They're never getting out of this. It's done. It is finished. Mark my words. It might take a few years, but it's over. I'm telling you. They not only killed him, but killed him in Tehran. So he was in Iran, in the capital, to attend the inauguration of the new president. It's like they're begging for a war. You know, the Israelis are begging for a war. So let me explain what's happened in the last 24 hours. So they not only killed Ismail Haniyeh, but just before that, they had struck Dahia in Beirut and claimed that they had killed Fuad Shukr. So this is not confirmed. I've reached out, and the last I heard is that he is under the rubble. His death has not been confirmed, but when it comes to Ismail Haniyeh, his death has been confirmed. I found out about half an hour ago, 45 minutes ago. And yeah, it's confirmed. And Hamas have just released a statement. They said that brother, leader, martyr, fighter Ismail Haniyeh, the leader of the movement, who passed as a result of a treacherous Zionist raid on his residence in Tehran after participating in the inauguration ceremony of the new Iranian president. So look, the Israelis struck Beirut first. And I think, now I'm just, again, I don't know if this is true. I'm just, providing my analysis here. I think that their assassination, or their attempted assassination of Fuad Shukr, didn't pan out. Because we know that they killed children, right? As usual. They wounded about 70 people in Beirut, but we don't know for sure whether their assassination worked. So I think they were so desperate to draw blood, they went and then, just raised the stakes and said, okay, let's just go for Ismail Haniyeh. These people are psychotic. They're suicidal. They're not going to learn their lesson until Tel Aviv is reduced to a pile of ash. They've been warned and warned and warned, and they won't get it. Killing Ismail Haniyeh anywhere would be a red line, beyond red line. And doing it in Tehran, especially in the capital, during the while the guys are attending the president's inauguration. I mean, you have to laugh at the Israelis, because they don't get it. They keep trying to assassinate leaders. Like, who is it that they haven't taken out? They got Qasem Soleimani. They got Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis, with the Americans doing it for them. They got Sheikh Ahmed Yassin. They got the head of Hamas before. They've killed tons of people. When did that ever serve them? Every time they do this, they just make the resistance stronger. So in the end, Ismail Haniyeh was martyred. Okay, he didn't just die; he was martyred, which is an honor. It's like being killed in battle. Effectively, that's what happened. So it's a huge honor that he is a martyr now. And I'll just remind you that they killed over a dozen, so more than 12 of his family members before. Do you remember that a few months ago they assassinated his children and grandchildren in Gaza? Because remember, he doesn't live in Gaza, okay? So he is a part of Hamas, but he lives outside of Gaza in Qatar, okay? So they had killed his sister, they had killed 3 of his sons, 4 grandchildren. These Israelis are sick. They love rape. They love murder. I mean, what do you want me to say? Just look at the last 24 hours. Look at the last 24 hours. We have Israelis rioting to defend rapists that have been arrested, rioting to defend the rapists, right? In the Knesset, publicly saying that they should be able to rape Palestinian hostages, and then killing children, bombing the oldest church in Gaza, doing assassinations. I mean, does this sound like a healthy society to you? It doesn't to me, okay? It certainly doesn't to me. So now we have to look at, I'm just going to show you a couple of videos. There's nothing from Tehran, but I'm just going to show you briefly what they did in Beirut just a few hours ago. Okay, so again, 70 people wounded, 3 people killed, 1 woman, 2 children. right? You can see the level of destruction. These are the two children that were killed, Hassan and Amira. And here you can see more of the destruction. I mean, they know this is a very densely populated area. They don't care. The Israelis don't care. When has that ever stopped them? Just to recap, in the span of in the span of a week, they've killed children in Gaza, they've killed children in Syria, and they've killed children in Lebanon. Well done. Well, great accomplishment, contribution to humanity. And people are not deterred. You can see them here. They're chanting in support of Hezbollah and Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah. So the Israelis, I mean, they really just signed their own death warrant. What do you want me to say? They don't understand how, they think that this is like a pyramid structure that, if you take out the leader, then everything crumbles. It's never worked like that, and it's never going to work like that. Again, obviously, Haniya is a unique figure, but figuratively, you can find 1,000, you can find 1,000,000 Ismail Haniyas to take his place, because they're going to keep the same struggle. They're going to keep fighting the same struggle. It's not going to stop. You're never going to. No amount of killing is going to prevent Palestine being liberated. It's not happening. Look how many they've killed in Gaza. Has that deterred anyone? On the contrary, it's galvanized the whole planet. So, they can do whatever they can laugh like hyenas and think, oh, we killed Ismail Haniya. Yeah, well, you signed your own death warrant. Already a few hours ago when they did this with Beirut, it was becoming clear that they need to get out of Tel Aviv. The people in Hezbollah were already saying, look, if you want to try something, we're not going to elicit a measured response or a tempered response. It's going to be just as big or just as bad as what you do. We will reciprocate in full, if not go further. Okay? So you had bomb shelters being opened for the public in Tel Aviv because the Israelis know what's going to happen. They know what's going to happen. And the Israelis, they're still stuck in the 1990s. The Americans and the Israelis are still stuck in the 1990s because they think that, okay, they have aerial supremacy, and that means everything, and that they can get away with anything. That's not the equation anymore. That's not how it works anymore. If you look at the Americans, they went and bombed Iraq as well in the last few hours. Okay, so just again to recap, Israel tried to assassinate, or did assassinate, we don't know yet, Fuad Shukr in Beirut, in Al-Dahiya. The United States bombed Kataib Hezbollah, which is not Hezbollah. It's a different. It's still part of the resistance, but it's not the Lebanese Hezbollah. In Iraq, they're part of the Hashd al-Sha'bi, and then the Israelis have now killed Ismail Haniya. Maybe it was a joint operation with the Americans. Who cares? I mean, we're talking about the same beast here, aren't we? So, how can you look at these events and then say that the Israelis don't want a war and they are not trying to escalate? Of course they are. They are absolutely trying to escalate. And if you really think they just murdered Ismail Haniya because of 12 Druze and Christian Syrian children, I mean, please go, go away. Go away, really. I mean, this is ridiculous. It was already ridiculous when the Israelis were saying they were going to retaliate at all for something that happened in Syria to Syrian citizens, to Syrian children with Syrian names who are not Jewish and not Israeli. That was already ridiculous. And then even more ridiculous when they bombed Beirut, claiming that, the children were the pretext. So now you're going to come here and you're going to sit there and tell me that, oh, they killed Ismail Haniya because of 12 children in Majd al-Shams. Come on, please. The Israelis are obviously trying to escalate. They've probably run out of options. But, usually when you have empires or powers or entities in decline, because they're in decline, they become more desperate. It's like someone struggling in quicksand. And so they lash out more, they become more brutal, they become less rational, they become more violent. It's a classic hallmark of a declining power. Okay, it's a classic feature of a declining power. The Americans are doing that, and the Israelis are doing that as well. So look, what's going to happen now? There are two ways this can go, but the result is going to be the same. You remember when the Israelis assassinated Saleh Haruri? They did that in Beirut, right? But he was Hamas. So Hezbollah did not go and respond in a way as if they had killed a Hezbollah member, but they still responded in a strong manner, and they hit the Meron base, right? So, which was a very significant target, and they hit it, and that was, you know, the retaliation for the assassination, and that was a milestone, so to speak. Now, when it comes to Ismail Haniyeh, he's not, you know, a member of the IRGC or an Iranian, but he was killed on Iranian soil. So there has to be some kind of, you know, it's like the embassy when the consulate in Damascus, the Iranian consulate, that happened on technically, I know it's an embassy, but it's technically on Syrian soil in the Syrian capital, let's say. But nevertheless, you know, it was Iran, it was also Iran being targeted. The same is true here. Although they're not the primary target, they are still being targeted. So, you know, there's going to be some kind of response. I think that the best thing to do, and this is what happened last time with the embassy bombing in this exact scenario, they didn't respond immediately. They let, you know, the Israelis worry and cook and simmer for 2 weeks, and then they responded. And, you know, that was that. And the whole resistance axis actually came with them. But this is really something completely different. Everything that I've talked about until now, the consulate, you know, I mean, I can't believe I'm saying this, because to contemplate, you know, an F-35 striking an embassy is outrageous. But the Israelis are so violent, they keep, you know, raising or lowering rather the threshold. So my point is just that this assassination is so significant. This killing of Ismail Haniyeh, who's, you know, the second or third most important person in Hamas. I mean, again, we can argue about what position is the most important, but that's irrelevant. He is the top. He's part of the top leadership. He's top brass. You know, it's so significant that they have everything is going to change now. We could very well be entering World War III right now. This is not an exaggeration. I'm not joking. We've had world wars start over far less, really over far less. Okay, I'm talking, you know, mostly about World War I. But anyway, we could easily be entering World War III right now. This is really not a joke. It's that bad. It's that bad. I think the Israelis, the only strategy that they have left is this kind of thing. It's like, let's shock people. Let's, you know, annoy them. And get them fuming so much that they have to respond, and then, you know, we can get the Americans to come and back us up. That's what the Israelis are hoping. They can't do this by themselves. They need the Americans on board, right? And the Americans will only come to fight Iran if it's a really, you know, if the threat or rather the fight is actually there. So, despite it being, you know, a big assassination, the strategic thing to do, perhaps, would be not to give the Israelis what they want, which is exactly that, a you know, world war or a regional war, whatever you want to call it. Like I was saying before, regardless of whether this explodes and ignites now into a regional war, or whether they, you know, Hezbollah and Iran and Hamas do not escalate it, or rather respond to Israel's escalation, the current situation, even if it stays how it is, with, you know, Hezbollah hitting barracks and outposts and radar facilities, that is still advantageous. Israelis are pinned down in Gaza. They are pinned down against Hezbollah in the north. They can't do anything. You know, it's like slowly boiling a frog. The frog doesn't know it's being boiled. It's just going to stay in the water. So, you know, one way or another, the Israelis are going to bring about their own demise. That's the point that I'm trying to get to. One way or another, they're finished. They're finished. They're finished. This rapist, murdering colony is done for. It can't. We're never going back to, you know, how it was before October 7. We're never going back. The world has changed. It's had it with Israel, you know, murdering people and getting away with that. That is finished. This is over. This is over. So, you know, they can kill as many Ismail Haniyehs as they want. It's not going to stop the tide of change that is coming. It's just not going to do that. And history is provides that evidence. The proof is right there. They've killed, you know, at any point in history, they've killed resistance leaders, and it failed, and it failed, and it failed, and it failed. And Israel gets weaker and weaker, and the resistance gets stronger and stronger. That is the trajectory. There's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do about it. So, you know, right now, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they started striking Tel Aviv or Haifa. And you know, some people were a bit doubtful that the Israelis would be suffering or conceding casualties in any of these two, in either of these two, because, oh my God, this is so significant. It's not even been a few weeks, 2 weeks that Yemen struck they struck inside of Tel Aviv twice in the same day. And what did Israel do? They bombed Hodeidah. Yes, it's bad, but still they couldn't really. That wasn't that big of a response. So we've already crossed that line. The Israelis are already in a corner, if you will. So you can pick any resistance faction you want. They killed Mernier, right? They killed Mernier in Damascus. Did that help them? No. They killed Sheikh Ahmed. Did that help them? No. They killed General Soleimani. Didn't help them. They killed Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis. Didn't help them. They killed Arafat even. They poisoned him with polonium. Didn't help them. And the same is true with Saleh Haruri, and they can kill as many resistance leaders. Like I said, it's horizontal leadership and power structure, the resistance. It doesn't work like a pyramid. So you're not going to dissuade people. On the contrary, you're just going to galvanize them more. So like I said, we go back to the analogy of the animal, the beast thrashing in the quicksand and just bringing about its own demise more quickly. That's the only thing that's happening right now. They're really psychotic, though. I mean, they're really out for blood. I don't know how anyone with half a brain even could look at this and then say that the Israelis are rational actors, that they actually want peace. You're asking for shit. You're asking to be, wiped out with this. I mean, this is such an affront. It's so wild. It's so outrageous. And that's the effect. That's what they want. The Israelis, they're good. They come and they claw people and they lash out and then run back into a hole. That's the only thing they know how to do. It's the same thing in Syria. They go and they bomb and then they go back and with their planes and hide. This is the only thing that they know how to do. They go and bomb Gaza and then they run back. They don't know how to do anything else. So this shock assassination stuff, it's not going to work. It's never worked for them before. Honestly, I'm just I'm just stunned that the people in the military, in the Israeli military, because some of them know what this means. They actually understand strategy, unlike the politicians. They must be ripping their hair out right now. They must be ripping their hair out. They must be tearing their hair out right now, looking at this, because they know what's coming. And honestly, if people thought a few hours ago was bad, I mean, Christ. Anything could happen. Anything, all options on the table. We could see Iran striking the Israelis in 20 minutes or not. But like I said, the end result is the same. Honestly, they should take the advice. It's not my advice. It's the advice of people in the resistance, and just leave. They should just leave. This is not ending in a nice way. They should go back to Poland or Ukraine or Morocco, wherever they came from, and that's it. It's over. It's really over. Forget it. This is the final nail in the coffin. They're so dumb. They're so dumb. They could have just stopped committing genocide. They could have, pretended to respect two-state solution. I'm talking about decades ago. They could have at least put on a show. No. They had to be violent. They had to keep murdering people and stealing land and just, this is what happens when you have a spoiled brat like Israel. You have this bully that no one, puts in check. That's what happens. They get more violent and they become more unhinged. This is the behavior of an unhinged, psychotic actor. Someone who wants peace does not behave like this. Someone who is aware of their weak strategic posture and their weak military posture does not behave like this. They seek diplomacy. They seek to make peace. They seek to quell and calm and soothe tensions. They do not go and escalate. And make no mistake, Israel has escalated since decades ago. Okay, this is not even a question of just now. I mean, they're invaders. These people are invaders. They have come from a foreign land and invaded the country. Their very presence is an escalation. Stealing homes is an escalation. Okay, so we can look at this in any way you like. The Israelis are at fault, and they have lost it. It's like they're seeing red right now. They can't even grasp what is in their own self-interest. Because if you're really Zionist, like an actual Zionist, and you want to have an Israel, you wouldn't, even a Zionist wouldn't behave like this. These people have turned into something even worse. I don't even know what to call them anymore. They are completely nuts. Nuts. This is not going to serve them well. This is not going to serve them well. I suppose in a sense, you could see a silver lining in this, that, you know, they're just going to bring about their own demise more quickly, I suppose. But again, really just, I guarantee you there are people in the Israeli military right now who are, they can't believe that this happened. Because of how crazy it is. It's just, you know, there's no good thing that's going to come of this. You're just going to get slapped and you're going to get punched in the face. I don't know what else to tell you. There's nothing else to say, really. There's nothing else to say. The Americans, I mean, how many billions do they have left to give you? How many billions? They're busy with Ukraine as well, you know. Again, I'm telling you that there are weapons that the resistance have that we can't even contemplate or fathom. Okay, I know the Israelis have nuclear weapons. I don't give a crap. The nuclear weapons don't mean anything with asymmetrical warfare, by all accounts. Okay, and with all of the evidence, the Israelis are losing. We know this. They cannot hold any ground in Gaza. They are getting pummeled every single day on the northern front with Hezbollah. I mean, these people are suicidal. You know, so. If you just look at how things were already going, they should have been running back and apologizing and, you know, making all amends imaginable. And no, they have to go in the opposite direction. Well, okay, well, since you insist. But once again, if we look at the front has moved. I'm talking about Lebanon now. The front has moved away from Lebanon and towards the Israelis, right, to their detriment. You know, they're losing already in that respect. The settlers are already gone and put up in hotels. And they're never coming back. They're never coming back. You know, 40% have said they're never coming back. And that was already a few months ago. I can't imagine them saying that. I imagine it's even more now who say they're never returning. So, you know, the colony itself, the idea of Israelis being there is falling apart because many of them see the danger and they say, okay, screw this. I'm taking out my Polish passport and I'm going back. You know, or I'm taking out the German passport and I'm going back. Right? Which is the rational thing to do, the sensible, peaceful, diplomatic thing to do. Honestly, look at the Israelis. They're having to chase down drones that cost a few $1,000s with their jets because they don't have any functioning Iron Dome. What do you think is going to happen when this turns into a full-blown war, when Hezbollah and Hamas and Yemen and Syria and Iran and you know, the factions in the West Bank are all striking Haifa and Tel Aviv and Eilat and Ashdod and Ashkelon at the same time? What do you think is going to happen? You think they can't do it? They already showed you they can. They've shown you this several times. We already saw on April 13th, the whole resistance axis firing and firing at Israel. Israel had to solicit the services of the French Navy and the Royal Navy and the US Navy and 50 million navies to come and save its wet ass. So nothing is going, and that was just a small taste of what is to come. That was a small taste. That was nothing. That was nothing. What do you think is going to happen when the real fireworks begin? No, nothing is going to save you. Those are weapons that we already know exist. Those are old generation rockets and missiles. Those are older generation drones. Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran, they haven't even brought out the new stuff. They've been saving that for this rainy day. They've been saving that for this rainy day, and they know all about you. They know all about what you have. Remember, it's the resistance that's catching up, not the other way around. So no matter what happens, it's the Americans and Israelis who are losing their strategic advantage and losing their military advantage, not the other way around. This is going downhill. It's going to come crashing down on the Americans and Israelis. It already is. So again, you know, keep up the assassinations if you want. It's not going to serve you. On the contrary, you're just going to bring about your own demise quicker. By all means. I mean, you know, it's not my opinion or something that you know, I'm not even expressing my opinion or what I want. I'm just telling you, I'm giving you and reporting to you what is happening on the field and what is going on politically and militarily and strategically. This is the truth. All of the Palestinians, all of the Syrians, all of the Lebanese will get justice. They will get their lands back. All of their crimes, all of these crimes committed by the Israelis, they're not going to escape accountability. Mark my words. Mark my words. We've entered a new stage now. And, you know, the Israelis, they want to do this quicker. I'm sure Hezbollah and Hamas will be happy to oblige them. Doing it in Tehran, I mean, that's just, you know, they're obviously trying to send a message to the Iranians as well. And I I'm laughing because you're going to see these talking heads in the mainstream media. I guarantee you this. They're going to go on television and then try to link what just happened, which is a clear act of war. Okay? This is an act of war. And they're going to try and justify that with 12 children in Majd al-Shams by calling them Israeli. This is as if you have 12 children who are killed in France during World War II, and then they're calling those children German because Germany is occupying France. Well, obviously, those children are not German because they're not German. They're just not German. They don't have German names. They don't speak German. They have nothing to do with Germany. They're just occupied by Nazis. And that is exactly the case with these children. They are Syrians. They are Christian and Druze. They are not Jewish. They are not Israeli. They do not want to be Israeli. They reject Israel. They identify as Syrian and they live on internationally recognized Syrian soil. Again, YouTube demonetized my channel because I'm not allowed to say naughty things about Israel. You know, telling the truth is forbidden. So if you are able to donate a few dollars on PayPal or on a monthly basis on Patreon, please consider doing it because it would really help me continue my journalism and support independent media. So I'd be very grateful. And the links are in the description and also in the chat. Thank you guys very much again for all your donations and all your kind comments. I appreciate it very much.